Hello. I am going to record chapters 34 and 35 from Where the Mountain Meets the Moon by Grace Lynn. Could the quality of this filming be better? Yes. Is it great? No. Have I figured out how to make it better? Also no. So we're just going to, do our best. Chapter 34. Which one of you is Afu and which one is Dafu? Minli asked the twins. My name is Minli. The children laughed. Their giggles were like bells playing in unison. I'm Afu, the girl said. He's Dafu. But you can just call us Da-Afu because we are always together. Everyone does. Minli smiled. The exhaustion from the long night of worry had made her feel heavy and clumsy, but the children's happiness seemed to carry her. Their every word seemed to be mixed with merriness. Their laughter pushed her toward the cheerful yellow patch in the distance. And as they approached the spot, Minli realized that the yellow was flowers. In front of them was land full of blooming trees. The trees were heavy with bright blossoms, and as the wind blew through the branches, golden flowers showered down like rain. As they reached the trees and breathed in the spicy scent of the flowers, Minli gasped. "It's beautiful," she said. The children laughed again, and the brilliant red of their clothes and the golden yellow flowers of the trees seemed to make Minli's eyes dazzle with color. But their brilliance was a contrast to the stone rooftops of a village below. The homes looked as though they had to be hewed from the cold, harsh rock of the mountain, and Minli saw that the flowering trees were the only things that grew easily from the unforgiving, rough soil. The boy saw Minli's gaze. "That's our home," he told her, "the village of the moon rain." "Village of the moon rain?" Minli asked. "That's a strange name. Why isn't your village named after the flowering trees?" "It is," Dafu said. The story of the village of the moon rain. Over 100 years ago, when our ancestors were first brought here, the land of the village was barren and gray. Everything was dull and colorless, the wind cold and bitter. Still, our ancestors worked hard. They built houses out of mountain stone, sewed warm, wadded cotton jackets, and planted seeds in the hard dirt. But, despite their efforts, the land refused to bear a single plant or flower. However, even though it looked hopeless, our ancestors continued to work. Then one night, when the moon was big and round, the air filled with a strange fluttering sound. Our ancestors thought that a great storm was coming and rushed inside. And a great storm was coming. With a crash, raindrops seemed to fall from the sky. But what strange rain it was! Round and smooth, in the glowing light the raindrops looked like silver pearls, and when they touched the ground, they disappeared. "It's raining pearls," our ancestors said to each other. "Jewels from the moon." And they rushed out with baskets and bags, catching what they could from this strange storm. Magically, when the raindrops were caught, they didn't disappear, and soon their baskets and bags were full. But in the morning, our ancestors saw that the drops were not pearls or jewels. In the sunlight, they saw that they were really seeds. But no one knew what kind of seeds they were. Curious, they planted them in the hard earth. And when the moon rose again that night, the strange rain fell again as well. This time, our ancestors were not fooled and just watched the drops disappear into the ground. But in the morning, the planted seeds were sprouting as if watered by a magic brew. So, night after night, the seed rain fell from the sky. And as daylight broke over the land, the seedlings grew higher. Soon they grew into beautiful silver trees with golden flowers. They were so beautiful, our ancestors planted more and more seeds, and soon the whole village was blooming with hundreds and hundreds of flowering trees. And since then our home has been called the Village of the Moon Rain. We plant new seeds every day, and every night the moon rain falls, and every morning a new seedling sprouts. Maybe in another 100 years all this stony land will be covered with trees, and the mountain will be as golden as the moon. So these seeds rain from the sky every night? Minli asked. Well, every night there is a moon, the girl said. That is why we call it moon rain. And you don't know why? Minli asked. Even though she was tired, she could not help being curious. Both children shook their heads, and before Minli could ask more questions, the boy pointed. Minli followed his hand and saw crimson gate doors painted with a cheerful greeting. "We're here," he cried. "Come on, we're home." Excuse me. Chapter 35. After the great storm, Ma and Ba worried that vast damage had been done to the village. And when the sun shone in the morning, the village looked as if it were in ruins. Large tree branches had fallen, and a clutter of leaves and roof tiles and dust and dirt littered the ground. Yet when the villagers began to clean, they saw the storm had not harmed them as much as they had feared. "At least no homes were destroyed," the villagers said to each other, "and we know everyone is safe." "Well, everyone except for Minli," they added silently. Ma and Ba said nothing when their neighbors paused awkwardly. They helped pick up the broken branches, swept broken bits of pottery and tiles from the street, and nailed shutters. At night they quietly sat together at the table with the goldfish. Though Ma had heard nothing, Ba remembered the fish's words about the fear in the wind. It filled him with worry, and he waited for the fish to speak again. However, it remained oddly silent. Finally, when Ma was busy helping a neighbor, Ba tried to question the fish. "During the storm you said there was fear in the wind," Ba said to the fish. "Whose fear was it? Was it Minli's? Was she afraid of something?" The fish stared at Ba with its round eyes and made no sound. "Please tell me," Ba said, his hands around the bowl. The fish swam noiselessly in the water. Ba was puzzled. Had the fish stopped speaking? Or was he now unable to understand? Or perhaps the fish had never spoken, and it all had been his imagination. Ba placed his ear close to the water. Was that faint bubbling a whisper? He strained closer, his ear beginning to dip into the water. "What are you doing?" Ma asked as she came into the room. Ba jerked his head up, his ear dripping with water. Nothing," he said sheepishly. "Were you cleaning your ear in the fishbowl?" Ma said, slightly appalled. "Not exactly," Ba said awkwardly. A cross look streaked across Ma's face, but as she looked at Ba, rubbing his ear shamefacedly, she did something she hadn't done in years. She laughed. "You look so silly. If Minli were here now," Ma said, "she would laugh at you." "Yes, she would," Ba said, and he too began to laugh. She would laugh until she cried. Their laughter intertwined, but when they looked at each other, they could see the tears forming were not from joy. See you next chapter.